won't be see-through. Transparency when you look at me. You know I can teach you everything. Are you hearing me? It's so hard to reach you.
What's going on, all you love monsters out there? It is Coach Adam, your gifted purpose life coach. What that means is I help you use your gifts so that you live life in purpose, on purpose. Coming at you with another Transparent Tuesdays, y'all. And today episode, I believe we're on episode 10. And thank you for your patience of just me being consistent. I'm gonna get to a point to where I'll do these every week. You know, I know sometimes I miss a week, but you know, just give me some grace, okay? And I'm also gonna be working on some more shows, so some more content, just where it's not just me sitting up here talking to you guys. You know, expanding my network and bringing in people that you know, I feel like you can benefit from hearing their stories as well. All right, so today on Transparent Tuesday, we're gonna talk about choices. Today we're talking about choices. So first, let's start with the definition. Y'all know I'm an educator. So a choice is a range of possibilities from which one or more may be selected. A range of possibilities. So I don't know if any nerds out there that are familiar with the direction that Marvel is going in, right? The multiverse. So what that is essentially is, the multiverse is, you know, different universes that have different realities. Like, you know, what if Donald Trump, what if a reality star became president? Or, you know, that's a reality. Or, you know, what if, you know, we were invaded by aliens? Or, you know, what if, you know, you grew up differently, you know, whatever. So different universes, you know, the same people, just different universes. So how that relates to our topic for today is, when you create a choice, you're basically creating your own universe. Life is about making choices, making responsible choices, making bad choices, making good choices. You know, your life is where it is today because of the choices that you have made. Some good, some bad. So essentially, whatever life you see for yourself, it's gonna be based on the choices that you make to get there, okay? I have a saying, life is like Kool-Aid. It's only as sweet as you make it. You can put a lot of sugar in there, you can put a little sugar in there. You can add a little lemon, a little Sprite, you know, but the Kool-Aid is going to turn out how you decide to make it and what ingredients you choose to put in there. So that's basically it. So if life ain't going how you want it to go, sometimes you may have to look in the mirror and ask yourself, what choices have I made to get me to this position of where I am in life? Now, don't get it twisted. Like, there are, for some people, some systematic things that put people in certain positions in life, right? But, you know, at some point, you just have to take responsibility for your own life and kick in some doors, okay? Make a few people uncomfortable. How you doing? And just make a way for yourself. For those who, there's a strategic mission to make life a little bit more challenging for others. You know, we just have learned to, you can Martin Luther King it, or you can Malcolm X it. All right, so back to the topic. So, you know, we get ready to do our transparent share out. So the reason for Transparent Tuesdays is because I really want to show the transparency and authenticity of life. You know, on my social media, you may see me looking fly, the glitz and the glamour, but in order to reach success, it's not always pretty, it's not always beautiful. So I feel the more we are transparent and vulnerable with each other, you know, the more we let you know what really goes on in our lives, I think that helps other people overcome, right? All right, so transparent share out. I'm gonna give you the negative and the positive. All right, so we talking about choices. All right, so there was a time, maybe several times, maybe a couple times, where I made some bad choices, okay? And for me, it stemmed from some of the things that I had gone through. Childhood trauma. You know, I'm a mental health life coach. So when you are faced with certain situations in life that traumatize you, it affects you in your adulthood if you do not take responsibility for yourself and your life and choose to work through some of those traumatic issues. So for me, I was molested when I was young by males and females. I grew up with a bunch of women, and when I grew up, the only male role models that I had were drug addicts. And manipulators and abusers, right? So those are the people that had the closest proximity to me that I learned from. So, I adopted that learned behavior and carried that into my adult life until I became a mental health life coach and understood how those things were affecting me and how I was showing up, right? So, this is the transparency part, and this is where I get vulnerable with you, hopefully to help somebody overcome. So being molested is something that you carry with yourself throughout your life, okay? It affects how you trust people. It affects how you develop relationships. It affects how you see yourself, right? And for me, I didn't have much self-worth. You always blame yourself. You feel like you're the only person in the world that has ever been molested. And you feel like it's your fault. And for me, it caused me to question my sexuality. It caused me to just really have some built up walls and anger. I had a lot of anger growing up. That's why I like to fight, and I had to choose to redirect that energy. That's why I do martial arts. But so choices. So what the transparent part? Okay, this is the vulnerable part. This is the part where please don't judge me. Okay, I chose to cope with those traumatic issues in my adult life by using drugs. I chose to self-medicate. And I'm not talking about the good drugs like weed and marijuana, child. I'm talking about the hard drugs, okay? I'm talking about the drugs that really alter your mind. They change your chemical makeup. They really take a toll on you physically, mentally. They just really take a toll on you. And there was a big traumatic experience that I had with the company that I was working for. Frito-Lay, which is a great company, by the way. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot. I apply a lot of that in my entrepreneurship endeavors. They're the top snack company in the world, so I learned a lot from them. However, there were times where I felt like, I have this company, I have this opportunity. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I was like, I needed a foundation. I needed a economic machine to fund my entrepreneurship. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do Frito-Lay and then work on my stuff on the side. Well, what ended up happening was, because of how Frito-Lay works shout out to Frito-Lay, I didn't have a lot of time, or I chose not to have time to invest into myself, right? So when I gave to Frito-Lay, now I was working my regular schedule at Frito-Lay, my regular 40-hour schedule, and then I've always been the person to give back. So they had these ERGs, they had these different community resources where, they would send people out to do certain things in the community. Like we did a poverty run. We went to a domestic violence shelter because the women there and the kids there had to stay in the shelter because they were victims of domestic violence. So we went in and brought Halloween to them, we brought Christmas to them. So I was doing that on my off days. and putting in all this work, right? And then, y'all, something happened. A big traumatic event happened. Another example of me making bad choices. It was on New Year's Eve. I'll never forget this. It was on New Year's Eve, and I got really, really sick. Come to find out, I had the flu. So I went to the doctor, and I was like, I have to go to the doctor. This was on New Year's Eve. So New Year's Day, I came back throwing up. Now, my managers thought that I had went out and spent the day partying for New Year's Eve. And, but I was actually sick. I had the flu. And when I came back, or when I went to the doctor, so I was throwing up, it was real bad. I found out that I had HIV. That's when I found out I had HIV. And it was so traumatizing how I was treated, because I had, mind you, given all this work. They worked the dog shit out you, right? More than 40 hours, to the point to where you got to question, is this legal? That's how much they work you. And I was giving extra time on top of that. And for my manager to see me as someone who was not being transparent and honest with him, like I was actually sick, that just changed my perspective of like, well, dang, I gave this company so much of my time, my energy. I'm not even working on my own entrepreneurship businesses. And, they quick to treat you like a number, quick to throw you away. We're quick when people make mistakes. We're quick to throw people away. So what ended up happening was, I was running my line. I was one of the people who made Cheetos, hot fries, white corn chips, the little scoops. I ran the whole line that made that. So when I got on my line, I was taking medication. When I told you I found out I had HIV, I started to take medication, and it was affecting me. I had to go to the bathroom, and I had left my line, went to lunch, came back, went to the bathroom. Maybe about 10, 15 minutes, I was using the restroom. 10, 15 minutes, just a normal time it takes to use the restroom, but I came right after my lunch. And my line is still going, like 24. Frito-Lay is a 24-hour company. The company never shuts down. So the chips were still going while I'm on lunch. Now for that 15 minutes that wasn't accounted for, my line was running and there was a mistake made, or some issue at the oven or at the fryer, I don't know. And somebody had to dump my product. So from a job perspective, that was thousands of dollars of wasted product. They didn't care what the reason was. They didn't care. They didn't have any empathy for me. Now, don't cry for me, because now I'm an entrepreneur on my way to 6 figures, child. So I'm thankful that it happened. And luckily for me, Frito-Lay is one of the companies that I serve as an entrepreneur. So it came back full circle, so it's fine. But, I felt like a number. I felt devalued. I felt expendable. And that plus the HIV, plus the being molested, I was like, wow, what am I doing with my life? And I felt the only way for me to cope was drugs. Not the fun drugs, the hard ones. And y'all, it took me through the darkest time of my life. I'm talking about homelessness. I lost my apartment. I was sleeping in my truck. I stayed in Sugar Land. If anybody's familiar with Houston, I stayed in Sugar Land, and there's a hospital in Sugar Land on I-59. And all my stuff, all of my furniture, everything that I owned was in my truck. And I was sleeping in my truck, contemplating suicide. Y'all. And I was going to choose to get out my car and walk across the freeway. That was going to be my choice. I was just like, I feel worthless. And something told me to call my friends. So I called my friend. He was here in Dallas, and which is where I am. I'm in Dallas, Texas. And he was like, I'm finna send you some money. I need you to get on a Greyhound, and I need you to go home to your family. He doesn't know this, but basically saved my life. And I took the money, got a Greyhound, went home, and still mentally dealing with that traumatic issue, and still making bad choices, But luckily for me, I had people in my life that loved me enough to guide me through it. Now, some people left me because, like I said earlier, we're quick to throw people away, and I think I'm gonna do a Transparent Tuesday on that. How we're so quick to abandon and leave and forsake people. That's the state of the world now. We need more love, but most people are like, I ain't dealing with that, and rightfully so. And even that abandonment, because I grew up without a father, even that triggered more trauma. Like if people treat you with compassion and kindness, empathy and love, you never know what people are going through and how you can affect their day in a positive way or a negative way. No responsibility to you. I'm responsible for my own life. I'm just saying we need more love, child. But, I was choosing to cope by self-medicating, and it changed the trajectory of my life. Now, luckily, I am a spiritual person. I am a child of God, and I believe God took me through that process so that I can help somebody else get out of it. So I'm thankful and grateful that happened to me, because now I'm able to really, reflect on that and think about, okay, I could have made some choices that could have changed my life, ended my life, but I'm still here today. All right, so that's transparent. Share out the negative. Now let's talk about the positive, right? So after I became a mental health life coach with the Global Institute for Coaches and Entrepreneurs, aka Jice Loves, baby, I started to see myself. I started to learn how to lead with love. And for me, like in my last video, that means loving myself. I didn't know how to love myself, obviously, because I was, making choices that were killing me. And I made a different choice. I said, you know what? I'm not gonna work for anybody else unless I wanna work with them and their business helps me change the community. That's who I've always been. I grew up in the church. I grew up serving. So every business that I work with, because I'm also a consultant, branding, marketing, sales, PR consultant. But I said, if your business doesn't help other people, if you're just a business of making money, I'm not the consultant for you. But if your business helps create impact and change in communities, then I would love to work with you. And I made the choice to sacrifice. Y'all. Like, being an entrepreneur, when you get to the 6, 7, 8 figures, that's the pretty part, right? But the part that people don't talk about, I hear people's stories like Tyler Perry had a story of being homeless, sleeping in his car. Oprah Winfrey has a story of not making any money because they believed in themselves. They made the choice to sacrifice. Taraji P. Henson, I remember when she wanted to go act, she took her son to California. She had $700 to her name and was like, I'm gonna choose to sacrifice and follow my dreams. So what I'm saying today, that's the positive, and I'm still in flow of that. That's why I'm bringing you Transparent Tuesdays now, so that when y'all look back on this and I'm in my 6, 7, 8 figures, I'm doing my international thug thizzle, okay, you guys can look back and see where I was when I wasn't at that point. And hopefully it inspires someone to make a choice for yourself to be the best version of yourself. I know that sounds so cliche, but as a life coach, we take our own medicine. We truly take our own medicine. You are responsible for what you do for you. okay? And what that means is make you some sweet Kool-Aid, okay? Put you a little sugar in it, put you a little lime, put you a little Sprite, but the Kool-Aid is only gonna be as sweet as you make it, all right? So baby, y'all make some choices to have the sweetest life possible. I am Coach Adam, your gifted purpose life coach. What that means is I help you use your gifts so that you live life in purpose, on purpose. All right, and if you need someone to talk to, if you're dealing with substance abuse, if you're dealing with mental health, if you're dealing with unpacking that trauma, you guys can inbox me, you can book me, you can go to JiceLoves.org. I'll put the link down here below. You can go to Jice Loves and get somebody to talk to. Now, you are responsible for the change. Okay, we can't change your life. We can't save the world. Only you can save the world. But if you need an accountability buddy, if you need a coach, if you need a guide, somebody to help you through, we got you. All right, so y'all, I'm Coach Adam. That's it. That's all I got. Peace and love.
I wanna be see-through. Transparency when you look at me. You know I can teach you everything. Are you hearing me? It's so hard to reach you. It's so hard to reach you.